everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I've been getting a lot of comments recently on the storage unit I have on my desk where I store my Copic markers. And I was inspired by all the comments and thought maybe I will do a video on how I got started with using Copic markers. And I was thinking this would help those of you that are either getting started in card making or want to kind of take your card making further as far as using different kinds of media, and maybe you were curious about Copic markers. So this is coming from somebody that's a total beginner when it comes to Copics. I've learned a little bit about them, but I haven't mastered it by any means. I just really enjoy using them. I think they're a great, I like to use different techniques with my stamping, and Copics is one of them. And I think they give the best result when it comes to coloring in images. And when I first got started crafting, I was noticing that a lot of my favorite crafters were using Copics. And the main thing I liked about the marker is that you could get a really pretty shadow effect with it. So you'd have like a light colored part of, say, a flower or something, and then you could shadow the sides and really make the image come alive using the different shades of the markers. And the way that Copics can do that is that they kind of sink into the paper more, and you're able to like layer on top of one another, layer the markers on top of one another, and get that really nice depth of color. So I kind of did a little bit more research, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about first where to go to get started, and then I'll go into kind of choosing markers. So first of all, as far as the learning goes with the markers, I started with the Copic website, and I think that's the best place to start. You can get all the information on the types of markers, all of the color families, all the different options. They have the color wheel, and you can really do, just like if you spend like maybe an hour just going on the website and looking at that, that'll give you a great start. I also would recommend going to a couple of really good crafters, Sandy Alnock and Kathy Rakusin. They are both really good at Copic coloring, and they offer a lot of different, like Sandy has classes on her website. She also has some coloring charts that can help you. And then Kathy also does a lot of beautiful coloring on her website too that you can go to, and she does tutorials and everything that you can learn from that. YouTube is obviously another place you can go and learn about some basics with the coloring. I would also recommend online card classes. I don't know if you're not familiar with that website that offers all different kinds of card making classes. It's hosted by Jennifer McGuire and Christina Werner, and I've taken a ton of classes from there, and they've got some great basic Copic. They have a great basic Copic coloring class among other types of card making classes, but I would recommend that too. And I'm going to also have a blog post with all of this information and links too, so you can go to the blog post and read more and kind of go to the different links. So this is just kind of an overview. So as far as learning goes, so you do the classes and then go to the website and go to the different crafters. If you're into books, which I am, I picked up a couple of coloring guides, and I'm sorry I can't find these anymore. There's a couple that are still on Amazon, and I really like these. These were the Copic coloring guide from Annie's Paper Crafts, and I don't know if they're out of print or what's going on, but there was like one of them I could link down below, one or two of them. One is available on Kindle, and then the other one it seems to be like not available anymore, but it's a good place to start. So they have the different levels. So like this is basics. This is just how to color in general. This is using coloring nature, coloring guide for people. And then this one is fine detail. So like how to add different shadows and things to flowers. So these were actually really good books. So I do have a couple of links to some of them, but unfortunately they're hard to find now. But I just picked up this book recently just to kind of see what it was all about. And this is from the Copic Company, or Imagination International. But yeah, it is from Copic Company. And this is a series of books that also talks about basic, intro to Copic coloring. I actually do like this book. It has a lot of very large pictures, so you can kind of see how you use do the shadowing and that kind of thing. But it talks about basics. It's in dual language, so it's half Spanish and half English. And you can see just how to color in real basic images, which is nice. And it talks a little bit in the beginning about the markers and the color families and that kind of thing. And then it also has a color wheel too. And then at the end, it has some images that you can practice coloring in, as well as a color matching chart too that you can use. So that is an option as well. So those are books. So let me talk a little bit about how I chose the markers to start with. So first I'll go over to my storage unit and I'll kind of show you the whole thing. I love to keep my markers out just because the rainbow colors always give me so much inspiration when I'm creating. And I've had a lot of questions about this particular organizer, and I got it from Organize More probably maybe 8 years ago or something. It's been a while. They don't make this exact model anymore, but they do have another version of it that I'll put a link to below, and you can buy them in multiples and kind of put them together. I'll also have some links to some other options. I kind of did some research on Amazon. It was hard to find something that is this exact type, but there's a couple of things on Amazon I found that got really good reviews. So those would be options too for storing your Copics. I checked on the website and they actually said it doesn't really matter how you store them. They don't have to be stored perfectly horizontal. This is according to their website. So you'll see there's one version that kind of slants the markers a little bit. So according to them, it's okay to not put them horizontally. But I guess whatever works for you too. If you just, I like them horizontal because I can easily just kind of grab them and, pick what I need. So, but it's nice to have all the colors here. And the ones that I have, I've bought these over time. Like I said, I've been doing this for almost 16 years now. And I don't really buy Copics that much. I kind of have everything I need because I just have all the kind of basic colors, lights, mediums, and dark versions of the rainbow. And then over here, I've just got some Wink of Stella. It's kind of a sparkle marker that you can add over the top of the Copic ink, and it looks really pretty. And then the Spectrum Noir markers are over here, and those are nice too. They give the same effect, kind of like a sparkly look to them. So I'll have links to those, and they're kind of just a fun little accent. But so that's basically it for the organization. But I just have it right out here, right on my desk, and I love the way it looks. It gives like a pop of rainbow color, and it's easy to get to. This is a travel bag that I have. I don't know if I have this too close to the camera, but this is nice when you're taking your markers with you somewhere. This has got a lot of room inside to store a lot of pens, and you can line them all up in here, and then you can kind of tip the bag and use it as your coloring. So I bring this to craft shows a lot. I'll fill it with Copics and bring it to craft shows for something to do. Or if you're going somewhere and you kind of need something to do, it's quiet and you just want to sit and color, this is a nice little travel bag for your Copics. So that's always helpful. So there are 3 kinds of Copic markers. There's the sketch marker, or the Ciao marker, the sketch, and the classic. And again, the website goes into detail about each one of them. But basically, the Ciao is the most economical. So I actually have one Ciao marker because I had wanted a certain color and it wasn't available. And so I just picked it up in this. There's really no difference in the Ciao versus the sketch, just except the shape. And the reason I like the sketch marker is because it has this ergonomic shape. It's kind of an oval, and it fits in your hand really nicely. And if you're going to be coloring for a long time, it's something that I would recommend if you're because your hand can get tired after coloring for a while. So the Ciao is rounded and it's more narrow. So it's just shaped differently, and it's a little less expensive, but they both have the same dual tip. So there's the broad tip here that they both have, and then they also have a brush tip too. And I mainly use the brush tip because I love just the way it basically brushes on the color. And So that works for me. But the broad tip can be good if you want to color in a huge area too. That can be helpful. My favorite place to buy the sketch markers as well as the refills, let me show you the refills here, is at ScrapbookPal.com. They have, I've always had really good luck picking up any colors that I needed, and they have really good prices too. So I really like ScrapbookPal. So when you get the Copic marker, you just get the marker, and then further on down the road, you can pick up refills as you need them. And the refills look like this, and all you do is, and they show you directions on the website how to fill your marker, but one refill will fill a marker, I don't know, like multiple times, like 6 or so times. So it's definitely cost effective, you know, just to keep buying the refills. And I've only had to, I use my markers all the time, and there are certain colors that I always use a lot. I think this one I recently had to refill. Jade green, I really like this color. It's kind of a mint color. So I just recently bought a refill for those to fill that up. But they're easy to refill. And so you can get all those at the Scrapbook Pal. And what I do is, what I've done is basically color charted all of my markers so I know what I have and don't end up buying multiples. I have this chart. Copic has changed their website a bit since I last printed this out, so they actually don't offer this chart on their website anymore. You may be able to find like a basic chart online somewhere. Sandy Alnock does have her hex chart, which is a kind of a color-coded chart that shows you visually similar colors that are by each other in kind of the color families, so that you can kind of see what goes together and it'll help you kind of pick colors as you go using that chart. So, but you can go to her site and kind of see what your options are. But I keep track of my colors, and then just kind of fill in as I get a new marker. They also have, this is an older this is kind of like a pocket swatch book that I really like. They have, they've updated it into cards that you can buy. They're like little flashcards that have basically the different color families on them that you can fill in and kind of keep track of what you have. So this is kind of the same thing, but I keep this like in my handbag if I'm going to go out somewhere, and if I know there might be a Copic marker there I might want to buy, I keep the color chart with me. But this is nice too, because it doesn't take up a lot of space. So I've got this, but so let me show you a little bit, just some recommendations I have on some colors. And I have a list of these colors that I would recommend starting off with. I say just get colors of the rainbow. So start with, you know, pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And just, I don't follow, like I said, I'm not a Copic expert, so I don't follow the letters to the T as far as, you know, trying to pick what family goes together and that kind of thing. I just kind of pick what I think looks good. I choose a lighter color, and then of like say a yellow, and then a darker color to kind of go with it to shadow. So let me kind of show you what I have here. These are some of my kind of most used colors. I have, let's see, this one goes in here too. And then I have some neutrals and some grays too that I get. But so for instance, the pink here, so I'll pick two that are kind of close to each other on the Copic chart. So RV10, RV02, but those actually, they aren't like right next to each other, but I like the way they look together. So that's how I follow it. But say for instance, if you're going to color in this flower, you'd start with like a light color like this on the petal. And it's just such smooth coloring. You can't mess it up. So I start with like a light pink, and then you could do the whole flower in light pink, and then just add accents with the darker colors. So kind of add a color in here, kind of on the side there, and then it kind of just brings out some of the shadows. And you could go darker if you wanted. It just kind of depends. Sometimes, like if you want to do a red flower, I'll do this light prawn. This would be just kind of a lighter color on a petal here. And then I have a darker red that I can add a shadow to as well. And you can just kind of get, I'm doing this really not very neatly, but you get the idea. It just kind of gives a shadow. And then you can go over it again with the lighter color to just kind of blend everything. And it just everything blends so nicely. And you can just keep layering color on top of each other, and your paper doesn't get all messed up or shredded or anything. It just is very beautiful. Just a little side note about the paper. I like to use, everybody kind of has their own preferences. I've tried a couple of different types of cardstock. I like cut cardstock carries Cougar Super Smooth cardstock, which it's kind of its own brand. So I think you can get it other places too, but it's the Cougar Super Smooth 100-pound cardstock. I really like this because it's very smooth, very bright white, and it keeps the Copic mark. I've noticed with some other, like the cheaper cardstocks, if you put Copics on top of them, they kind of bleed because the fibers in the paper kind of grab on and it just kind of bleeds. This is so beautifully smooth, so you get a really good pickup of the color on there. So that's the one I recommend. Also, when you're stamping and using Copic markers, you'll want to use the Memento Tuxedo black ink. This is the best ink to use for stamping because the ink won't smear with the alcohol inks. The dye ink won't smear. So, and I just really like this ink with the Copics, and a lot of people will agree too. So I'll have a list of the kind of my recommended color options, but you could kind of do whatever you prefer. They also have a starter kit which is just a few of the markers in a kit. It's just got some lights and darks, and that's a nice place to start too. And it's the Ciao markers too. So if you really like them, you can keep going with the Ciao, or you can move on to the sketch. But that's a nice place to get started too. A couple of the other colors I like too are the fluorescents. They look really bright. If you see them right here, they seem like they're going to be really fluorescent. They're not. They just have a nice, I'll give you a couple of examples here. This is fluorescent pink. And I just like this if you need a really bright, like when I color on vellum, I like to use these fluorescents because they kind of stick out a little bit more on the vellum. But see, they're not glowing. They're just kind of brighter. But I actually think the purple is really pretty. They're almost like a true pink, true purple. So these are nice too. And I think you can get these in its own pack, or you can buy them separately too. So those are other ones I like. But like I said, I don't have a ton of them, but and I haven't bought any in a long time. But I do fill in here and there if I'm needing a color that I wish I had. Another thing you can do, which I added a link. Another thing you can do is I like to use Wink of Stella glitter pens, as well as, here, this is the Wink of Stella. Wink of Stella glitter pens and Spectrum Noir glitter pens. These are fun to add just a little accent on top of your Copics, and it doesn't smear anything. It just adds a little bit of sparkle. If I'm doing a dress or something, I'll add this on top. I don't know if you can probably see this. It's just a little bit of a shimmery color. The Wink of Stella is a little more gold, the clear Wink of Stella marker. And then the Spectrum Noir is a little more kind of a white silver, which I kind of prefer the white silver a little bit better. So there's that. And it gives you a little bit more glitter too. But that's just kind of a fun accent. A lot of people use a white gel pen and add little accents to their Copics as well, because the gel pen kind of sits on top of the color. So that's always nice too. So there are just some other things that you can use with the markers. So let me know if you have any questions about purchasing Copics or anything I do with Copics. I do have some videos where I do Copic coloring, so I can link a couple of those below. where I do it just on cards and stamped images and that kind of thing. But I really love using these markers, and I think they're such good quality too. I love a good quality product that might be a little more expensive at first when you buy it, but over time, I mean, if it lasts and it works really well. Like I said, I've gotten a ton of uses before I've had to refill the markers. So it's a good investment, and you only need a few to get started. And then if you really like it, you can get into it more, and there's tons of classes out there you can take to learn more about it. But leave me a comment or question if you have any questions. And thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in my next video.